Hey there! We all love mangoes, but have you ever stopped to think about the incredible story behind the one sitting in your fruit bowl? Today, we're going to do just that. Peel back the layers on its amazing life, all the way from a single seed to that perfect slice.
Really think about it for a second. That sweet, juicy mango you're about to eat has been on a wild ride, a journey that takes years, involves some, let's say, unlikely partnerships, and starts with a frantic race against time from day one.
So, here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll get a proper introduction to the mango itself. Then, we'll see how it's born and gets its start in life. After that, we'll check out how it's basically schooled for success. Then comes the really juicy part, the secrets of how it actually makes fruit. And finally, we'll follow it all the way from the branch to your bowl.
Okay, first things first, let's get properly acquainted with our star. Who or what really is a mango?
So, its official name is Mangifera indica, which is cool, but check out its family tree. It's in the Anacardiaceae family. You know what that means? It's related to cashews and pistachios. How wild is that? And its whole story kicked off thousands of years ago, way back in the Indo-Burma region.
So how does that ancient legacy continue? Well, it all starts with the birth of a new tree. And this is where that race against the clock I mentioned really begins.
This really puts it into perspective, doesn't it? The moment a mango seed is planted, a countdown starts. It's got roughly 2 to 3 weeks to actually start growing. Why the big rush? Well, because after about 30 days, that's it. Game over. The seed can't grow anymore. It's this incredibly short window to start a life that could last for well over 100 years. No pressure.
Okay, so let's say our seed makes it. It sprouts. Where does it set up shop? Well, in a traditional old-school orchard, they'd use what's called a square system, basically giving each tree a 10 by 10 meter plot of land all to itself. That works out to about 100 trees per hectare, with tons of room for them to grow into these huge, magnificent giants.
But farming is always getting smarter. Today, modern orchards are all about high-density planting. And just look at the difference. A variety like Amaropoli can be planted just 2.5 meters apart. You can fit way more trees into the same space, which means it's way more efficient. It's a total game changer for mango farming.
So the tree's in the ground and growing, but you can't just let it do whatever it wants. Nope. Now it's time for the schooling phase, where that young tree gets shaped and trained for a long, fruit-filled life.
Now, when the tree is around 2 or 3, the formal training begins. And we're not talking about math class here. We're talking about careful pruning. Farmers shape the branches to build a really strong frame, one that can hold a ton of heavy fruit and let sunlight get to all the leaves. And for the first few years, while it's still young, it doesn't have to grow up alone. Farmers can actually plant other crops, like papaya, in between the mango saplings. It's a great way to use the extra space.
And have you ever wondered how we get those specific, amazing varieties we all know and love, like an Alfonso or a Quesar? It's done through a process called grafting. It's basically a kind of tree surgery where you attach a branch from the tree you want onto a young, healthy root system. And different parts of India have their own perfected techniques. It's a real art form. This is what guarantees that every single new tree will produce that same perfect fruit.
Okay, so our tree is basically a well-behaved teenager now. It's ready for the most important job of its entire life, making mangoes. And believe me, this is where the story gets really, really interesting.
Right, so a mango tree puts out thousands and thousands of these tiny little flowers. But here's the twist. They're not all the same. Some of them are just male. All they do is make pollen. The others are called hermaphrodite, meaning they have both the male and female parts. So for a mango to actually grow, you gotta get pollen from a male part to a female part.
So who does that job? Now, when you think of pollination, you probably think of bees, right? They're the superstars. But for the mango tree, the real MVP is someone, well, a lot more common and maybe a little less popular. Any ideas who it could be?
You're looking at it, the common housefly. That's right, it's not the bee, but the humble fly that does most of the heavy lifting, buzzing from one tiny flower to the next, carrying all that pollen around. They are the true, unsung heroes of every mango you've ever eaten.
Okay, so now we know how a mango is made. But here's the thing, not all mango trees play by the same rules. They actually have some major personality differences, especially when you compare trees from different regions of India. And this lays it out perfectly. Varieties from North India are usually monoembryonic, which just means one seed makes one plant.
They're also what's called alternate bearing, meaning they give you a huge crop but only every other year. On the flip side, South Indian varieties are often polyembryonic. One seed can actually sprout a few different seedlings, and they're regular bearing, so they give you fruit every single year. Two totally different strategies.
So, our mango has grown, it's flowered, and thanks to our friend the housefly, it's been pollinated. The fruit is ripe and ready. It's time to bring this whole journey home and get that mango from the branch into your kitchen.
Now, the main event for mango lovers in India is that glorious stretch from about March all the way to mid-August. But for the real diehard fans, some farmers actually cultivate special varieties that produce an off-season crop. Those ripen up in January and February, giving you a little taste of summer right in the middle of winter.
All right, let's talk practical tips. You've got your mangoes home. How do you keep them perfect? Well, there's a magic number, 13 degrees Celsius. That is the absolute sweet spot for storing a mango. It keeps it from ripening too fast, but it's not so cold that it gets damaged.
And if you want to be a true mango pro and make them last as long as possible, here's the expert-level formula. You can store them for 2 weeks at a slightly warmer 15 degrees Celsius, then take them out and let them sit at room temperature for one final week. That lets them ripen to absolute perfection.
So from that tiny little seed working against the clock to its careful training, that bizarre partnership with the housefly, and its long journey to the store, there is so much more going on inside a mango than just that sweet, delicious taste. It's a story of science, of patience, and maybe just a little bit of magic.